My name is Darren Hartwell, and on behalf of the National Tractor Pullers Association, I would like to welcome and congratulate our 2019 Super Farm Grand National Champion, Jon Silsby, and the Crop Doctor. Congratulations, Jon.
Thank you, sir.
So this is your first Grand National title?
Yes, it is.
Yes. So how did you get started in pulling, and what kind of piqued your interest in the sport of pulling? And how long you've been doing it? There's a lot of questions there,
Sure.
but
My dad pulled a light super in the 70s and early 80s, and he would never let myself or my brother drive. But we worked on it a lot with him and went to pulls with him and had a lot of interest in it.
yeah.
And I always kind of figured if I could be able to do it someday, I was gonna.
Yeah.
And once I got my kids through college and finished that commitment, I just decided it was time for me to try a little bit of something on my own.
Nice, nice. So how long have you had your super farm, excuse me?
The first pull I ever made that was on anything more than a farm stock was with the tractor I own now.
Okay.
And it was 3/4 of the way through the season at Berrien Springs, Michigan.
Okay.
And for anybody that doesn't know, it's half under a roof and then half outside the roof. And it's a bit of a challenge. It's really not a good place to do your first hook.
I was gonna say I've heard that's a very interesting place to watch and to pull.
Yep. And and my whole experience on this tractor was I pulled it in the trailer, I backed it out and hooked to the sled. So I was pretty nervous, as most people
Yeah.
would tell you they were on the first trip. And I backed up to the sled and Andrew Trowbridge coached me a little bit. He says, once you get it rolling, don't stop unless you're going to hit something bad.
Right, right. Andrew and his brother Rob are former Super Farm Grand National champions as well.
Correct.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. They had T-High Performance.
Correct. And to get started, they helped me get started tremendously. But I got it rolled out of the hole pretty nice, and I ended up actually 10th out of 18. I was tickled to death.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was an experience that once you do it once, you're hooked. I don't know how to unhook it.
Right, right. Exactly, exactly. I mean, it is. It sounds funny to say you get hooked on tractor pulling, but it's true. I mean, once it gets in your blood, it definitely sticks with you. So, tell us how long you've been running Grand National.
The first full year I pulled, which would have been 5 years ago, was I pulled regional.
Okay.
And then, so this would be my 4th season in Grand National.
Okay, because I know you've had some big wins. You've won Toma in the past and had some great success out on the Grand National circuit prior to this year.
Yeah, it's been a little more hit and miss in the past. This year I definitely figured out how to be consistent somehow. I say blind squirrels get acorns, but
Right, right. No, you were very consistent this year, and when I heard you earlier this year, sum it up that you've had the season of your life.
yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What would you say was the biggest challenge this season?
Actually, the last 4 years I've had some health challenges, and it kind of came to this last December. I had more health challenges that drug right clear into June.
Oh wow.
And at that point, I figured I was just going to do my best to finish my pre-commit contract and try to do what I'd promised to do.
Right.
And I had a lot of help along the way.
Yes.
The Ferris family, who I had to beat to win this championship,
Yes.
helped me tremendously to get to Rockwell, which was big for myself. With the 2 wins, I really needed those to be able to sit here today.
Right, right, absolutely. So you got to Rockwell, swept the weekend, and took the points lead at that point. Held it through. Got to Brandenburg, held it through Ionia, got to Brandenburg, tied with the Ferrises, and then Ferrises went ahead there. And tell us towards the end of the, after Bowling Green, the Ferrises were ahead by 2 points.
Yes.
So after the afternoon session at Sandwich, you guys were tied.
Yes.
So tell us how.
Well, we went we went into the afternoons or the evening session.
Which is the final hook of the season. 2 hooks on the same day in Sandwich, Illinois, an afternoon and an evening session on a Saturday.
Yep, one about noon and one about 6:30.
Correct, yes.
And I drew second hook, and I didn't like that, but you aren't going to change that position.
Right.
I call it the first one with no options.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was actually quite nervous because I didn't feel I had the best hook. It was an okay hook.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Anderson came a couple tractors later and got in front of me, and I got even more nervous. But I was lucky enough to hang on to second there. And the Ferris tractor ran really good. Brady did a good job. Fortunately for me, I was about half a foot, maybe 6/10 of a foot better, I think, as if I remember right.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely the closest points race we had out of all the Grand National classes this year. Doesn't come any more down to the wire than going into the last hook
Right.
tied up. I mean, what would you say was the highlight of the year, John?
Well, obviously the highlight is winning the Grand National title.
Yes.
I mean, how do you get a better highlight than that?
Right.
And other than that, just the highlight of the year, and it extended through the whole year, is the camaraderie I had with fellow pullers in my class, interested in what we're doing, interested in helping me make sure I got to the pulls.
Nice.
And it's extremely competitive once you're on the track, but you could sit down with any one of them after the pull,
Right.
and they're just great people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things that I really treasure and find so great about the sport of pulling is the relationships and how people support each other and get along, whether, it's at the track or in the off season or, whatever it takes to help people get to an event or help them make their, something breaks, everyone works together to get them on the track. Everyone works together and supports each other, and it's really awesome. So with that, who would you like to thank specifically?
Well, I need to thank TI Performance in that group. They really helped me get started in this whole deal.
Yes.
Sound Beam Performance, Ryan takes the time and works with me. Brent Payne, GMS Machine,
Yes.
has been very good to me, and with some advice here and there, and also some parts and so forth. And Chad Mayhill with CM Pulling Tires.
Yes.
He's been very easy and good to work with, and Max Simpson, believe it or not, a name blast from the past. I'll say it.
Absolutely.
But Max, I grew up around Max, and
Yeah.
and I've looked to Max for some advice, and of course my water system and everything. But Max has always been willing to talk and guide me a little bit, and I want to thank him.
Yeah, NTPA Hall of Famer Max Simpson from Charlotte, Michigan. I mean, he's kind of the guy that in Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, we all look up to Max and respect him, and just a great person and a true
Yes.
legend in our sport.
Yep. Mark Massey, the pump doctor, Hartz Diesel, and I need to thank my work family.
Yeah.
Especially with the challenges I had this year, they needed to step it up, and they did. Agriculture had a rough year, and my work family needed to step in and push, and I need to thank them. My family and friends who supported me. There were those that didn't think I should push as hard as I did to keep moving on this whole deal. I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
I'm glad I
absolutely.
didn't listen to them. But
Absolutely.
once they figured out I was determined to do this,
Yeah.
they supported me tremendously. And the pulling family, we already mentioned that.
Yeah.
I just can't thank them enough. And the fan family.
Yeah.
I've never had so many people come up and you get a 5 or 6 or maybe 8-year-old child and say, hey, you want to climb up there and get your picture taken, and they get a smile from ear to ear.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I get a kick out of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then the pull promoters and the NTPA staff. We can complain a little bit here and there about things, but those people have a tough job.
Yes.
And all in all, they do a pretty good job with what they have to work with.
Absolutely, absolutely. It all comes together. So you mentioned your family, John. Do you want to name people specifically in your family?
Well, I lost my dad
Okay.
about a year
Sorry
and a
to
half
hear
ago, and I'd like to think that maybe he was looking down on me
that.
and
Absolutely.
guiding me a little bit.
Absolutely.
And of course my wife and my kids.
Yeah, yeah. What's your wife's name? Your kid's
Sandy,
names?
my wife Sandy, and
Okay.
my daughter Mariah, my son Cody.
Okay.
They don't get to participate a lot, but when they do, I really like it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And then just I've got some family that works for me, Sarah and Tim, my daughter and son-in-law,
Nice, nice.
and they had to step it up a little bit because I was gone so much. And
Yeah, yeah.
you know, the middle of June, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and
Oh my gosh.
I get out of the hospital on the 4th of July, and with all the intelligence of the world, I drive out to Iowa to pull on the 5th and the 6th.
Hey.
So
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of that, John, you mentioned strong medicine. You know, it's
Yep.
kind of been the motto of the year, and
I'm gonna steal that hashtag from John Dunlap, by the way.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that just shows the commitment. You know, you get out of the hospital on the 4th of July, drive all the way out to Iowa, and then sweep the weekend. I mean, it's amazing.
Yes,
I mean,
I was blown away, to be honest with you, because I wasn't 100%. I felt I was good enough to do that, and my family questioned my judgment, but
Yeah, yeah.
I did make it fine, and you know, thanks to the people I mentioned before, the tractor's been a nice piece of equipment this year,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and you know, there's always maintenance, but it's done well.
Nice, nice. Your 2019 Super Farm Grand National Champion, Jon Silsby with the Crop Doctor IH 1066. Congratulations, John.
Thank you.